there's all this like highly sexualized devil speaking through her with a British accent. And the director, is a British guy. And so the implication, and then he is for some reason left with Reagan and then gets thrown out of the balcony and his head is twisted all the way around and he dies as a character. So the implication is that the director is the one who has raped Reagan and thus invoking this demonic presence into her. And it turns out that
I thought it was some totem that they found and it was possessed.
There, all of that stuff is there. The Ouija board is there and everything. But it turns out that William Peter Blatty actually made a movie called John Goldfrapp, Your Life is blah, blah, blah. I can't remember the exact title of the film. That movie with Shirley MacLaine. And the director of the film is this guy, J. Lee Thompson, British director, who looks exactly like the actor in that. And so the idea is that Reagan's mother is Shirley MacLaine, and Reagan is her daughter Sasha, and the British director is J. Lee Thompson. And when you start looking at his movies, they're a little strange. You know, there's like, you know, he directed the original Cape Fear, and which has a kind of strange pedophilic thing going on in it.
So does the second one.
And they all do. And then especially they amplify it.
Yeah, with Juliette Lewis and Robert De Niro.
He did this movie Kinjite with Bronson, and that all has kind of like a weird pedophilic thing.
This is English film director J. Lee Thompson and the director character Burke Denning.
Of Peter Proud, where Peter Proud dies, and then Peter Proud remembers his reincarnation. He remembers his iteration of his other self who was murdered. And then he hunts down the woman who maybe did it and then starts sleeping with her daughter, which is basically sleeping with his daughter because he's reincarnated. So this guy, as a filmmaker, has done all this. And so the question, and so William Peter Blatty worked on that film with Shirley MacLaine, and shortly thereafter wrote the book The Exorcist. And Sasha, in her autobiography, even mentions, the person on the cover of the book looked a lot like me.
Roger says Sasha several times, but her name is actually Sachi Parker, girl on the cover of the book. It's basically her.
And everyone's just saying, it's just a coincidence. And, I never walked down the stairs on all fours and I never vomited, pea soup or whatever, that none of that ever happened to me. But there's a pretty dark implication behind the whole film. And I brought it up with William Friedkin. Hey, is this meant to be J. Lee Thompson? Is this a way to talk about that actually happened? In real life, he said, I cannot talk about that, but I'm not saying you're wrong.
Whoa.
And so, and there's actually a moment where Reagan is talking to her mother and she's like, well, do you like him? Do you like him like you like daddy? And so there's this idea that he's been coming over and they've been having this affair. And then all of a sudden she says to her daughter, and it kind of jumped out at me when I rewatched it, she says to her daughter, well, I like pizza, but I wouldn't marry one. And it was like, oh my God, there's like a pizza reference.
If that reference confuses you, then it means you are not on X, which, good for you. But to fill you in, the pizza reference is gaining traction as it's mentioned in the Epstein files as a code word for underage girls.